Hi guys, I am Umair Nazim and welcome to Let's Code. In the previous video, I showed you how to use a switch case and how to make a calculator by using the switch case in Java. With this, we also covered a lot of topics in a very detail. But in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you what are the if, and else statements in Java and how to use these statements and what are the benefits of that statements. So let me explain these things first and then I will do a practical example. Actually, these three statements are called the conditional statements and our program will be executed according to the conditions that are made by the programmer. So actually, in these statements, our user will make some conditions. So if that conditions will be fulfilled, then that part of program will be executed. Otherwise, it will check the next condition until the condition will be fulfilled. Our program will not execute. So when our condition will fulfill, then that part of program will be executed. So without wasting any time, let me show you with an example. So as you can see that here I have created a project that is a basic Java. So here I have created a package with the name pack01 and here we have our class that is conditional statements. So within this class we have created a method that is a main method and our execution will start with this main method. So actually in this example I'm going to use the scanner class to read the values from the keyboard. So here actually I write this name for this class, so you can, in other words, you can say that I have created an object and that name is up to you. Whatever you want to put the name, you can write the name. So now as you can see that when I will move my cursor here, so it is showing a message import this scanner. So I have to import this scanner. So as you can see that this library has imported successfully. So after that I will show a message to my user, please enter a value. So I can write here, please enter a number. So actually when our user will enter a number, so of course I have to create a variable. So then that number will be stored into the variable. So for that purpose I'm going to create here an integer and I will give a variable name to a number. And now directly I'm going to assign the value by using the scan object. So I write here scan dot. So as you can see that here you can see the option is next integer for the integer. So now what will happen actually when I will execute the program, so this statement will be visible in the console bar. So this is like please enter a number. So when user will enter the number, that integer number will be stored into the number here, as you can see that in this variable number. Now here I'm going to write an if statement. Actually I'm going to start it from a very basic and after that we will go in a very detail. So to use an if statement, the structure is like this. First you have to write here if. After that you have to use these two parentheses, and after that you have to use these two curly brackets. But make sure that there should not be any semicolon after these two parentheses and after these two curly brackets. So these two curly brackets. So there should not be any semicolon. So within these two parentheses, I have to write my condition. So for example, if I'm going to write a condition, for example, if, now as you can see that here it is if, so I'm going to write here number. So you can write here if number is greater than 5. So now what here what I have written here, actually I have created an if statement, like if the number, so what is this number? Actually this number. So if the entered value is greater than 5, then this statement will be executed. But if the number is not greater than 5, then what will happen? Then I have to use else statement. Now else statement. So there is no need to write this else statement, you don't need to put again the curly brackets. So simply you can write here your message, like so the number is, you can write here, number is less than 5. So now I'm going to run this program and you will see the result. Now here, as you can see that our first message, this message, please enter a number, as you can see in the console bar. So now the user will enter a number. For example, I'm going to write here 6. Now enter the number and number is greater than 5. So now this part of program is executed now, this part of program, because our entered value is greater than 5. Now what will happen if I write the number that is smaller than 5? Now for example, if I'm going to write here 3, now number is less than 5. Now as you can see that this else statement is executed. Now what it means, if our condition is fulfilled in the program, then if statement will be executed. But if that condition will not match to our like condition, then else statement will be executed every time. Now for example, if again I execute this one and I'm going to write here, for example, -1. Now again, as you can see, the number is less than 5. Now let me show you with a different example. So I'm going to remove this one here, this part of program also. Now for example, if I write here if statement, just I'm going to use here the if statement. If number, so I use if number is equal to 5, then I will display a message to my user. Number is exactly 5. So I write this message to my user. Now why I write this one, these two equal signs together? Because if I write this just one equal sign, one equal operator, then what it means? It means that I am assigning this 5 to the number. So when you want to equalize the integers with a number, then you have to use these two operators, these two equal operators. Now it means that if this number value is equal to 5. Now again I will use one more if statement. Now here I will put the condition if number is greater than 5. Now if the number is greater than 5, then I will again display a message to my user. I will write here number now I'm going to write here number is greater than, so 5. I write here number is greater than 5. Now again I'm going to write one more if statement. So I write here number, so sorry, here with a lower letter, if number is greater than 10. So now again I will write here a message to my user. Number is greater than 10. Now what will happen if I will execute this program? So as you can see that, so actually no, the logic is the program will execute like this. So if I will enter the number exactly 5, then our compiler first, it will come to this statement and it will check this statement. Is my entered value, is my entered number is equal to 5? So if it is equal to 5, then it will just execute this statement. If it is not equal to 5, then it will come to this part of program and it will check this statement. For example, this statement is also not correct. Then it will come to this part of program and it will check this statement. Now, let me enter a value here. For example, if I write here 5, now as you can see that number is exactly 5 and just this statement is executed. Now, if I am going to write here, for example, 7. Now, as you can see that number is greater than 7 and greater than 5. So this second statement is executed. Why the first statement is not executed? Because it is not equal to 5. It is greater than 5. That's why this statement is executed. Now, if I enter the value that is greater than 10, and what will happen? Now, if I'm going to write here 11. Now, as you can see that these both statements are executed. Why these both statements are executed? Because first our compiler will check this statement. So this statement is not true because it is not equal to 5. Then it will come to this statement. Now, as you can see that number 11 is greater than 5. So it will execute this statement. After this statement, it will check this statement. Now, 11 is also greater than 10. So it means that these two conditions are fulfilled and it will execute both the conditions. Now, if you want to execute just one statement, because here as you can see that these both statements are executed, but you want just one statement and the correct answer. So for that purpose, we will use else if statement. Now, let me remove these two statements here and I'm going to write here if number is equal to 5, then I will use here else if. Now again, by using the else if, here I will use the condition. I will write here if number is, you can say that if number is greater than 10. So I will write here if number is greater than 10, then I will display a message to my user. Now I will write to my user here number is greater than 10, and here I will end this statement by using the semicolon. Then again I will use one more else if statement, and in that statement I will use, so else if number is, so number is greater than 5. So now again I will display a message to my user, number is greater than 5. Now here I'm going to write else statement. Now in the else statement, like if these above conditions are not fulfilled, then else statement will be executed. So in the else statement I will write here simply, you can say that number is less than 5. So now I'm going to execute this program and you will see the difference between if, and else statement. Now if I'm going to write a number that is exactly 5, what will happen? This 5. Now as you can see that when I write the number exactly 5, so it will just execute this part of program. Now this part of program is already fulfilled. This condition is already fulfilled. Then it will not come to this part. Then again I'm going to execute this program and I'm going to write here, for example, number 7. Now number is greater than 5. Now as you can see that, now what will happen? Our program will execute from this part of program, this first statement, and as you can see that this statement is not true because 7 is greater than 5. Then it will come to this else if statement part. Now as you can see that 7 is less than 10, so it will not execute this part of program. Then we will come to here. Now when it will come to this else if statement, as you can see that 7 is greater than 5, then it will execute this part of program, I mean this statement. Now for example, if again I'm going to execute this one, and here now I will write 11. Now as you can see that here again it will start execution from this part of program if statement. Then it will come to this statement and it will check. Now the number 11 is greater than 10. Now it will execute this statement, I mean this part of program. Then after that our execution will stop. Then it will not come to this part of programs. So as you can see that in the if statement, when we write just if statement, it will execute the part of program. If it is correct, again it will execute all the conditions. It will check all the conditions. But in the else if statement, when it will find the correct condition, it will stop the execution there and it will not move to the other step. So that is the main difference in if, else if statement and else statement. So I'm going to tell you one more thing. For example, if you have just one condition, for example, if number is equal to 5, then you will use if and else statement. So if you have just one condition, you will use if statement. But if you have more than 1, 2 or 3 conditions, then you will use this if else statement, because it is the most recommended method and you will get your answer correct. So once more, if I'm going to execute this one, and you will see I'm going to write here, for example, you can say 3. Now as you can see that number is less than 5 and this part of program is executed. Now let me show you one more thing, and that is nested statement. Now what it means, nested statement? Actually nested statement means if you have one statement within one statement. So what it means, for example, if I have if or else statement, so within this statement if I create one more statement, then it is called a nested statement. So let me remove this part of program and I'm going to show you. So here I have created this if statement, but for this time actually I'm going to show you a different example. So you can say that here if I write here if number, so you can say that, for example, if number is less than 50, then it will show a message to my user, you failed, you failed. Else, now in the else part, now what will happen in the else part? So you can also think this statement, what is else part? Now if number is less than 50, it means fail, and else for the remaining values it will automatically show a message, for example, you passed. But here I am going to write a nested statement, so I will use this nested statement within this else part. So for this purpose I am going to use here again these two curly brackets, and now within the else statement, so I can shift this one to a new line. So here in this else statement again I will create one more loop, that is if and else. I will use here if, then I will make a condition and I will say if number is greater than or equal to 75. Now it will display a message to my user. Now here I'm going to write here you have a distinction. I'm going to write here you have a distinction. So here I write you have a distinction. Now this part of program is if. Now I have to use again else statement also. So for that statement I'm going to write here else. I will show a message to my user, you passed, you passed. So now let me explain this logic. Actually here I have made a program that is recording to nested statement. So nested statement means within a statement if you have one more statement, that is called a nested. Now first of all, this one is if statement. Now when I will execute this part of program, if the user entered value is less than 50, then it will just execute this statement and it will stop the execution. If this statement is not fulfilled, then it will come to this else part. In this else part, as you can see that within this else part I have again if statement. So in the else part, it will execute first this if statement and it will check if the entered value is greater than or equal to 75, then it will execute this part of program. But if this statement is not fulfilled, then it will execute this else part. So let me show you with an example. So as you can see, so if I'm going to write here, for example, number is 40. Now as you can see, you failed the first part of program. The first logic is executed, this logic. But if I'm going to write here, for example, number that is greater than 75, so if I write here, for example, 80. Now as you can see that you have a distinction. Now this part of program is executed, this part of program, this if statement. Now if I write the value, for example, that is greater than 50 but less than 75, so if I write here, for example, 60. Now as you can see, you passed this message, this part of program is executed. Now what will happen? Actually, first of all, it will check this statement, then it will come to this else statement, because first statement is not fulfilled, then it will come to else. So within else statement I have one more if else statement, then it will come to this if statement. Now this if statement is also not fulfilled, then automatically, obviously, it will must execute this statement, you have passed. So guys, that's it for today. If you like the video, subscribe my channel, write your comments, give your opinion and share it with your friends. See you in the next video with the new topic. Take care.